heard a Gets tune, he said it was '07 when I said that Grime can't get man a mortgage. Now I'm in Spyro's house and it turns out man can afford it.
It became like a hub that was at the center and at the core of what we were trying to become.
How we live, what we're on, how we dress, it's all represented.
People have come from a place where they didn't think they could really like make a living long term out of this, provide for a family. But now we're here.
Grime Daily.
GRM.
That just the holy grail of black British music.
I think they're kind of like the anchor of UK rap.
We never had somewhere that we could all go to.
I couldn't believe what I was seeing.
You always look up to like the GRMs, like you can't wait to be on that platform.
YouTube was almost like a given to us.
Where people are in a position they are now because of GRM, innit?
Shut down Grime Daily on your way, innit? You got your foot in the door or something.
Labels didn't know how to market us.
Then we started doing what we wanted to do, innit? Young Kings, boom.
GRM is like that trampoline. If you get on it, you jump higher.
I didn't actually think I'd ever see it happening like this.
It was us, man. It was a proper us moment.
This is sick. There's all these like white kids from Middle England that like want to hear us.
The whole of Middle England, bro, in their Wellington boots, rich parents, are singing these songs.
It's sick to see how some stuff like that starts from like an innocent passion and now it's turned to that.
These two guys just had a camera and it was going everywhere.
I'd be editing it.
Posty just kind of came out of nowhere, created a platform, and then ran with it.
Everyone was just calling till everyone stopped calling.
It got really real.
Fucking hell, it seemed like the world collapsed, didn't it?
I said, bro, that don't just happen. There's bare conspiracies.
There's police everywhere.
I was like, what, God? Don't panic or nothing.
Yeah, I was panicking.
It felt like the business was in tatters.
Everything was just gone. I haven't heard from Nana. Nana said she's moving house today.
Do you want to fade the beard or do you want it pointed?
Just your best work. Yes, Badika, I know. I need you to stop sounding panicky when things go wrong. I don't operate in that fashion. Do you think I didn't invite enough people? I believe that. I feel like no one's coming. Give Betty Scars a bottle of champagne. Give Dave a bottle of champagne. If I told people last entry's 4:30 and it's 3:43, should be a bit more ram than that. I was born in England, but I didn't live here till I was 12. When I came back, I was trying to identify with who I was as a person now living in the UK. We were heavily influenced by American rap. Jay-Z, Nas, Biggie, Tupac, you know, the works. It was only really later on that we started hearing things like Heartless Crew, Pay As You Go, So Solid Crew. And that's when UK music started to really translate.
UK garage was like the popular scene. And the first record I signed was Rewind by the Artful Dodger and Craig David.
I mean, I really started tuning in when it became garage. You know what I mean? I had all the pure garages and all that kind of stuff.
Garage was quite aspirational.
It's garage at the time. It's garage, bubbling, da-da-da-da. People are raving. You look at a video of a garage rave, they've got a champagne bottle in their hand on the dance floor.
You've always liked those vibes, you know, nice vibes, sunshine. But for some reason, we just wanted to spit. I remember the first time I saw the So Solid video, and I was just like, wow, like, this is incredible.
No one has seen a video like that. It was like, bruh, it's Ashley. Oh, it's Romeo. Lisa Mafia.
It looked glossy, it looked expensive, the music was 10 out of 10.
When 21 Seconds came out, it was like, okay, you could relate to them because one, a lot of the stuff was shot in South, so you knew the area. And then it kind of like that whole staff culture of like everyone having dogs.
Hearing that they was from South London as well, like, it wasn't that far from where we're from, and it just felt like
It was our own thing.
You know how much people would be like, yeah, my cousin's in So Solid. You're like, is he? Which one is he? Yeah, actually, it's my cousin. It's my cousin's cousin. Stop lying, bro.
We were different. Do you know what I mean? The way we did things were different. We weren't trying to be American. We weren't trying to be anything else but ourselves, and we had our own way about it.
21 seconds to flow. I got 21 seconds to go.
I started off listening to So Solid on the radio. I was a fan, but in my mind, I always knew I'm going to be a part of that crew.
I think that was kind of like the start of, I guess, an era of music.
I always feel like that music wasn't champagne bubbly like garage, but it wasn't like grime. It was that weird time when it started to change, that kind of fusion.
Pirate radio was huge back then.
Freeze FM, Laylo FM, React FM,
Rinse,
Axe FM, Heat FM, Manic FM.
Deja Vu, I went to Mission 101.
Pirate radio was that thing of like, you want to be the person who go into school and be like, did you not hear Nasty Crew last night?
You're just listening to something, you think in your head, you don't know what room they're in, you don't know what they look like, you don't know, you know what I mean? You don't know nothing. You're just hearing someone. And I thought, rah, like, I wish I could do this. Like, this is cold.
The I Love You white label. I can't really think of one record that had quite as much impact on me as that did, where I just thought that's a whole movement.
So this kick was made by Cage. I would have just been there, like I said, it all would have been laid out across, and I would have just started playing. Then
It shook everything. It was like the key moment where you're like, what is this? This is an unidentified sound. This is something that is like so new and refreshing. And I remember that summer just listening to that track over and over again and hearing it everywhere.
All the things that had come before it, jungle and drum and bass, and then garage, I felt it was all in these instrumentals, although they were incredibly minimal.
Remember, we all used the same studio, so Roll Deep. So Wiley would have been using, but whoever else, Danny Weed, it all come from the same kind of bank. But I went for the nutty sounds because my palette was different because I was into other stuff.
Yo, some bitch, no. Keep calling my phone. Don't leave me alone. Just moan and groan. Keep ringing me at home. These days I don't answer my phone.
I know I was in the middle of making it, and Cage was on the phone, and he got off the phone, and he said, it's not good. I said, well, what's wrong? He said, it's not good. Then he explained to me that the towers fell, and Bin Laden and all that stuff. And I didn't understand, because I'd never heard of the Twin Towers. I didn't know what any of that was. But I remember that vividly happened when I was making this beat.
Yo, if a girl know where you say that's for, some banging at your girl, what for? Pregnant, what you talking about before? 15, she's underage, that's raw. And against law, 5 years or more. Now she wants a score and a half, I would draw. That's the kind of threat that you can't ignore.
Sometimes my flow shapes my writing. So let me fit those words into that pattern, okay, that way, and then it just ends up, like I said, and then it ends up making sense because you fine tune it and go through it and that. But so it just come out, and then obviously that, like I said, that was the kind of stuff I was seeing around that age. And I got someone pregnant when I was whatever when I was young. Anyway, so there was a bit of that too.
That boy's some you know, all up in my head, thinks that I care, following me here, following me there. These days I can't go nowhere.
If you listen to Boy in the Corner, you've never heard music like that before. It's like new music. It's just sounds, do you know what I mean? And that's why some of these artists are also geniuses, because they created their own style of music. I don't even know if I would even make a song like that now at 35. You know what I mean? But back then, it was just raw and it was just, I don't know, I was just doing something different.
I love you.
So Grime DVDs was possibly one of the most important things that ever happened in our culture, because it actually put a face to the names we were listening to.
I heard the voices, but I hadn't seen the faces. So I said we should do a DVD, because if I want to know what these people look like, everyone's going to know what they want to look like.
Like, I remember going to Wembley Market and seeing like Practice Ours, Risky Roads.
Lord of the Mics, Lord of the Decks. These were DVDs that would come out once a year. You'd watch that Gets Freestyle twice a week for like a year because you weren't going on YouTube. This was the only thing you were seeing. It gave you a picture of what the culture really looked like.
Grime Daily, which I believe was like an evolution of the Risky Roads and things like that was like shot for DVD.
For me, it was like a proud moment in a way because it's like I've inspired somebody to go on to do their greatness from what I did and what I do.
Can't forget to big up Petchig and Scooby, Sharky, and all of the nasty crew peeps. Yeah, Risky Roads.
It's like the Risky Roads and then some of the videos of the early raves, like Sidewind or whatever. That's when you started seeing people's faces. But then Channel U, that's when you start seeing, that's where you see people's music videos.
Yeah, it's Lee for the Busy Records. Ow, ow, yeah, it's Lee for the Busy Records. 2004, yeah, wow, yeah, I'm Lee for the.
We were just watching music videos on Sky, and then when Channel U came through, that was another big wave.
Channel U was a big part of like me like being like a proper fan of like Black British music.
Channel U was absolutely amazing, but the difficulty with Channel U is you didn't have a choice about what you wanted to watch.
There was very few slots on television that were catering to black music, so Channel U coming was a godsend.
Channel U was the first Grime Daily as far as music videos.
Now she said,
yeah, you're nice.
Then I said, YouTube still. She said,
I don't normally do this, but do you want to come back to mine and chill?
Nothing against the Channel U's and stuff. They were necessary and beautiful at the time, but you can't beat them when they're rinsing someone's video 10 times a day. I used to have 10 phones, I buy 10, 20 chips, trying to text for my fucking video and it still doesn't come up. Do you see what I'm saying? Whereas Grime Daily, as long as I could share the link on the MySpaces or the this or the social medias, you could still keep trying to push traffic to something.
I was meant to be, I was gonna become a lawyer. After like uni and like law school, I was like, don't really want to work like in that kind of context. And I always loved English music. I used to be a rapper myself. Quite a distinguished one, actually. People don't really talk about my rapping attributes, but you know.
You don't know me. Look, I'm on arms like a rollie. Fuck around and take shots like a goalie. You got knocked the fuck out like smoke.
Some people don't really realise how much groundwork has gone into it. I don't think they, you know, it seems like Posty just kind of came out of nowhere, created a platform and then ran with it. And in fact, the twists and turns and the pivoting that's taken place over the years has been crazy. And, you know, like sometimes we was out here doing events to try and get extra Ps.
I used to do events at my uni. Like, I had the biggest rave and culture style. I'm not just saying it because I'm here. There's a show called Candy, and I used to like give everyone sweets and stuff like that. So at the time, like English artists weren't like the biggest thing, but obviously there was a market for it. So then I would book like The Movement, or I'd book Wretch, or I'd book like a few rappers, like, and then I used to book like funky house people and all that. So I booked Wretch back in the day, so I knew him before GRM, or Grime Daily, should I say. It's not always like this, I'll be honest. That was good, man.
Respect, my man. You guys ever read that? You got post to you that. You come a long way from them coaches to dance. I remember it. You're the first man.
We all did.
Yeah.
You was right there. Seeing somebody like Wretch, like just being a pioneer for all these years, and you know, like us being a part of the moment. Just want everyone, all this great artists, like just to wake up one day and just see like how GRM's been involved in all these moments. I feel like that's how we build a legacy. That's how you build a brand.
And I've come this far. I'm gonna get all like justice.
When I started doing club nights, I started booking people from our genre, started meeting people that inspired me. And at the time I was addicted to World Star Hip Hop. I used to go on it every day and I thought, we actually need something like this.
That's when World Star was kind of fresh.
It had everything. It had music, it had just mad ratchet stuff on there. I was like, we need World Star Hip Hop over here.
I remember my phone rang. It was Kobe on the other end. He was like, oh, do you know what? I want to make like the UK version of World Star.
I was like, why did I not think of that?
In the time, I didn't realize how profound that moment was.
In my head, I was thinking, this just sounds great because I'm going halves with someone. I was like, yeah, let's do it.
After we made that decision, it's like, okay, cool, now what? Because my background's in finance, his was in law, so there's like, what are we doing here?
So I had an idea. I thought about MySpace, right? And I thought on MySpace, J2K's MySpace always looked the best. It always just looked the best. And a guy called Sketchy Media had done it. So I gave Sketchy Media a shout.
Yo, Sketch, I've got this idea. I want to create a blog. You know, I want to call it World Star Grime. I want to be at like World Star Hip Hop. We just have all the stuff going on in the scene. He's like, you're the only one I know that can really build a website. Like, I've got some money. Like, can we make it happen? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. Because for me, I was on blogs every day. That was like my life.
A lot of people would log onto the blogs to see what's new, to see what's happening.
Grime just had the biggest affiliation to UK music and Daily, just so that you knew that we meant business and this is our job. So expect this from us every day.
The first initial feeling I had, this wasn't even a thought, the feeling I had was, that's just right.
Wake up, log on, write something crazy. You don't know, fam, I Grime Daily.
The very first website design is in here somewhere. There you go. Version 1.0. That was it. That was the very first website design. Look at the YouTube player.
Now we've built the site, we're putting up links, and then we're messaging everyone on Facebook.
I would follow Logan Sama, right? So Logan Sama was the biggest DJ in grime music, right? Let's just say Logan Sama had 5,000 friends on Facebook. I would personally message all 5,000 of his friends, say, yo, we've just launched a new website. It's called grimedaily.com, check it out. I would send out these messages daily. I don't think Logan knows that, but hopefully he don't mind.
I think within the first 3 days, we went from like launching it to getting 13,000 people looking at the site. I couldn't believe it, and I'd never run a site that had like that much traffic, so instantly the site was just crashing.
First time the site went down, we didn't know what happened, and you just paid someone that, it's like, hey, the site's gone down.
There was no way you were keeping an old WordPress blog on a custom domain serving 13,000 people. Like, just traffic's too much.
He's come back like, oh, do you know what? We need a bigger server because we're getting hits.
We paid all the money we had at the time to get a website built, and we thought, job done. But what we realized was that they had nothing to watch on there because we just kept posting old videos. So when I'm talking about old videos, I'm talking about old DVD rips. I'm talking about videos that are already on Risky Roads, videos that are already on Loaded on Mics, which they've already watched 100 times. We didn't know how to film, and we obviously saw Jamal was doing SBTV.
I remember him messaging me, going like, oh, I want to create a site. I'll put your videos on my site. Because I don't think he was doing videos then. He was just like he was like, I want to be the World Star Hip Hop of the UK. We don't really have that in the UK. And I was like, yeah, sick.
So we kind of hit him up and we were like, we want you to be the Jordan Tower of our thing. But with these things, sometimes things fall through. I guess Jamal obviously knew why do it with them when I could do it by myself. We were kind of hoping he wouldn't realize that. He did. And so we had to kind of pick up the camera ourselves and go out there and do our own thing as well. Do you know what I mean? This is what happened. So our first interview was J2K. We got J2K because Sketchy Media built J2K's MySpace.
I was like, yeah, cool, let's film with him because he was in Roll Deep. He was a respected MC.
Yeah, got the Spiz Axe. I was addicted to World Star Hip Hop, so I was familiar with the format, you know what I'm saying? So I understood what he was trying to do early, and it was just something I felt like we needed, and if this could get executed, this would be something really good, you know what I mean? So, yeah, man, I just jumped on it.
J2K introduces us to Frisco. Frisco introduces us to Skepta. Skepta introduces us to GRM. Now, there's a whole cycle, a whole loop, a whole little network going on.
in his head, he probably wants to say, how did that get spare times? And he wasn't answering. So the truth of the matter is, this guy, I rate him because he was persistent, you know what I'm saying?
The time we're really young, we're really bad communicators, but the way they're supporting me, I can tell that they understand what I'm trying to do because they can see I'm supporting them.
Really, GRM was the baby of the internet age, and we were almost overnight crazily successful.
We just got as much content as possible.
We'd meet a rapper, we'd film him for about 20 minutes. We'll break down that interview in 4 parts of 5 minutes, right?
We did like a crep check,
which would be the 5th piece of content, let that out on a Friday. Then we'd film a freestyle and let that out on a Saturday, for example. So just by meeting one person, I had 6 pieces of content. So if I met 4 people in a week, now I have 24 pieces of content, and then I could just mix and match it.
YouTube was almost like a given to us. It was like, that's just where the content is, but the site was the focus. So even though early on we were doing like YouTube content and Post and Pierre were like filming all the artists and doing things, we were doing that because we needed more content for the website. It wasn't like now where people are like starting a YouTube channel, you know, like let's build a YouTube channel. That wasn't a thing to us. We were just putting content on our website.
At first I watched on YouTube like 2009, but yeah, I used to watch a lot of videos on GRM. I just used to see a lot of new talent on there. I think it was a good space for people to kind of come up and show their skills. So I always remember like checking out new people on the platform and seeing who's coming out, where they're from.
We've put out all of this content, so it's like, all right, well, we need more. We had to go again, and then again.
I am nothing like Jigger and Nas, I tell you straight now. They cannot swing on a bar in my playground. I ain't on tuning my stars on their grave. I live through my bars with no jailhouse.
The access grew off of its own merit, like the work that Post was doing and Pierre were doing with the artists, and then putting on the site, it was just snowballing.
We actually started charging people for advertising space on our website. So Sincere was one of the first people to actually think, all right, cool, let me put my CD cover on this website.
Mark Henry, who I had a mixtape with at the time, was my brother. Stay Flea, Get Lizzie. He hit up Post and Pierre and was like, oh, can we put a banner like what World Star Hip Hop have?
I think he gave us like £300 for 6 months. By the time, seemed like a fortune. You know what I mean?
No one paid for nothing because no one had any money. I remember when I started trying to charge £50, it was mental. Then my phone never rang for 6 months.
One of my biggest L's, I wanted to buy into GRM. Post the MPA accepted it. They said, yes, we will accept it.
You wanted to know what I was doing with the money, like I was investing it back in the company. I was thinking, mate, I just want a car and chain. Are you in or you out?
But my boy I was with was like, nah, like that's expensive, fam. And I wish to death he didn't.
He said no. And we just stayed friends since. But yeah, he definitely saw the value in Grime Daily from early on.
You know, I get skippy with the flow, fat boy getting the people to chrome. Little boy, you're be in the zones. Where I'm from, you don't pass a roam.
The reason why we had an edge on all our competitors at the time was because our website was the biggest website for black music in the UK. Our stiffest competition at the time was Spiff TV. And when we bought GrimeDaily.com, we forgot to buy GrimeDaily.co.uk as well, but they did.
For a little bit of time, there was like something going on where someone was like hijacking the GRM traffic. Very clever move, like really, really clever.
So when people used to type in GrimeDaily.co.uk, it would just refer them to Spiff TV, and now everybody knew about Spiff TV. I was like, oh, this is crazy. Now all the kids in the streets, they was only talking about Spiff TV.
That was a clever tactic.
When it comes to bars, I'm like Frank Gallagher from Shameless.
After a few months, people just started hitting us up, like, I want to shoot a video, and they kind of understood what it was.
But right now, I hate MTV so much. Let's just say I need a new telly.
Before, people would just make music videos for TV. Now they're making music videos for the internet. And if it goes on TV, it's a bonus.
I was raised in the ends, them guns go bang.
After about a year of running the platform, we had gained like really good traction.
It was our 1st year anniversary, We've been working really hard for a year, so we wanted to celebrate that. It was also potentially a way that we could make some money to sustain ourselves because we were broke. There was bouncers, there was security. The party was going well. There was about an hour left, and then there was a shooting.
The first time I even heard of Grime Daily, I was like, raw.
It was really going down, do you know what I'm saying?
It just caught like a mad buzz.
Almost within a couple months, we were like, fuck, this is big.
Everything was going amazing. And I saw about 98 missed calls, thinking, what's going on?
Can you give me a clap?
Yeah. No, there's no bass in that clap, man.
Yeah, that's the answer to your question. I don't remember what it was. Again.
Hey, Ben, sorry, man. I'm chatting shit, Ben. Sorry, blood. Sorry.
Wow, my LinkedIn is gonna look bad. Hey.
Thanks, guys.
It's not a random. That was a bad interview. Don't take it.
That was dope.
Let me see how that's looking. You're not there anymore. Hey, where's the flavor?